The camera fades in on a bustling corporate lobby, the kind where marble floors echo with power and every suit costs more than most people's monthly rent. You're watching this right now, heart pounding already, because what if one small act of kindness could cost a billionaire $2.1 billion by lunch? Stick with me until the end. You won't believe how this true feeling story unfolds, and if it moves you even a little, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that prove the universe rewards the brave. Let's dive in. My name is Elena Ramirez. At 29, I was just another mid-level analyst in a sleek glass tower downtown, the kind of place where dreams go to get Excel spreadsheets stapled to them. I'd grown up watching my single mother work double shifts at a diner, her hands cracked from hot plates and endless coffee refills. She taught me one thing above all. Mija, never be too important to see the person right in front of you. That lesson would cost me my job and hand me a fortune I never asked for. It was a crisp Tuesday morning. The annual shareholder meeting for Vanguard Capital was about to start. I wasn't supposed to be in the executive lounge, but my boss had sent me up with the revised Q3 projections because the printers on our floor were down. I stepped into that mahogany and gold room carrying my laptop bag and a quiet nervousness. And there she was, an elderly woman in a faded floral dress, silver hair pinned back neatly, standing uncertainly by the gleaming coffee station. Her hands trembled as she tried to reach for a cup on the top shelf. The barista had stepped away, and the few executives scattered around were glued to their phones, pretending not to notice. "Excuse me," I said softly, setting my things down. "Let me help you with that." I poured her a fresh cup, added 2 creams and 1 sugar the way she quietly requested, and handed it over with a smile. Her eyes, tired but warm, lit up like I'd given her the moon. "Thank you, dear. My knees aren't what they used to be. You're a good soul." We chatted for maybe 90 seconds. She told me her late husband used to bring her coffee every morning. I told her my mom did the same. It was simple human connection, the kind that costs nothing and means everything. Then the doors swung open. In walked Chairman Victor Langford, the man whose name made markets tremble. 68 years old, silver fox hair, custom Italian suit, and a reputation for crushing souls before breakfast. He was flanked by his usual entourage of yes men. His eyes landed on me, the nobody in off-the-rack blazer, standing next to the old lady. "What is this?" he boomed, voice dripping with contempt. "Get this old lady a coffee. Are we running a charity or a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund?" Laughter rippled through the room like sharks smelling blood. "Security, escort this assistant out and find out who let her up here. We don't pay people to play waitress." My cheeks burned. The old woman tried to defend me, but her voice was lost in the chorus of chuckles. I was marched out in front of everyone, my laptop bag clutched like a shield. By the time I reached the elevator, my boss had already texted, "Clean out your desk," effective immediately. One act of decency, and my career was over. I cried in the parking garage, not because I lost the job. I cried because the world felt so cold. How had we all become so small? But the old lady, her name was Margaret Ellison. And I had no idea she was the widow of Thomas Ellison, the quiet genius who had founded Vanguard Capital with Victor Langford 40 years earlier. Thomas had passed away 2 years before, leaving his shares in a trust managed by Margaret. She had come that day, unannounced, to observe the meeting and decide whether to keep her faith in the company her husband built. Margaret didn't say a word during the meeting. She simply sat in the back row, sipping the coffee I had poured her. When Victor took the stage and began his usual performance, boasting about aggressive short positions, leveraged bets on tech, and a new, revolutionary, acquisition that would supposedly double the fund's value, Margaret listened with growing sadness. Victor had pushed hard for a massive bet against a struggling but innovative green energy startup. He mocked their bleeding heart founders in private emails that would later surface. He was certain the company would collapse under debt, allowing Vanguard to swoop in and pick up the pieces for pennies. The entire board, terrified of him, nodded along. The projected profit, over $2.1 billion by the end of the quarter if everything went as planned. But Margaret had spent her life watching her husband nurture small ideas into giants. She remembered what real vision looked like. And in that moment, she remembered my small kindness, the only human thing she'd witnessed in that cold tower in years. While Victor was still mid-speech, Margaret quietly instructed her lawyer, who was seated beside her, to begin transferring her controlling stake. Not to Victor, not to the board, but to the very startup they were trying to destroy. She attached one condition: the new investors must honor the original mission and protect their employees. The market opened at 9:30. By 10:15, whispers had spread. By 11 o'clock, the startup announced a surprise breakthrough in battery tech that every major automaker suddenly needed. Their stock exploded. Victor's short positions hemorrhaged money at a terrifying speed. Panic selling began. By 12:47 p.m., Vanguard Capital had lost $2.1 billion in market value. Victor Langford watched the numbers bleed out on his Bloomberg terminal, face ashen, while his phone exploded with calls he could no longer answer. I was at home, still in my work clothes, eating cold leftover pasta and scrolling job listings when my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. Elena. The voice was frail but steady. This is Margaret Ellison. I believe I owe you more than a cup of coffee. What followed felt like a dream. Margaret had not only redirected her shares, she had created a new foundation in her husband's name. Its first act was to appoint a new leadership team at Vanguard, one that valued people over predatory profits. And sitting on the advisory board, a seat reserved for me, with a starting package that made my old salary look like pocket change. She told the board she chose me because, in a room full of important people, she was the only one who saw an old woman. Victor Langford resigned that afternoon, humiliated. His golden parachute was shredded by the new ethics clause Margaret insisted upon. The last image the financial press ran of him was him storming out of the building, tie loosened, looking every bit the small man he had always been beneath the bluster. In the months that followed, I threw myself into the work. I met the young engineers at the startup whose dreams Victor had tried to bury. I helped structure deals that kept jobs local and prioritized sustainability. My mother finally retired, crying happy tears in the little house we bought her. And every morning, I make it a point to pour coffee for someone who looks like they need it, whether it's the janitor, the intern, or a delivery driver. The world wants to tell you that kindness is weakness, that the ruthless win, but look at what happened in one single morning. One old lady, one cup of coffee, one act of mockery, and $2.1 billion changed hands not through spreadsheets or schemes, but through the simple refusal to look away from another human being. If you're watching this right now and you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or punished for doing the right thing, know that the universe is keeping score. Your moment is coming. Don't let the victors of the world harden your heart. Stay soft enough to see people. Stay strong enough to stand anyway. If this story touched you, if it reminded you of your own mother, your own struggles, or gave you hope for one more day, please smash that like button. It helps more than you know. Subscribe and turn on notifications because next week I'm sharing the story of the taxi driver who changed Silicon Valley with nothing but honesty and a ripped receipt. Drop a comment. What's one small act of kindness that changed your life? I read every single one. Until next time, remember, the biggest deals in life aren't made in boardrooms. They're made in the quiet choice to be decent when no one is watching. Thank you for spending these 8 minutes with me. I'll see you in the next one. Stay kind out there.